9 News.
Well, Luka has been putting on quite a show in this postseason. It is his first trip to the Western Conference Finals.
It is.
That starts tomorrow night, Game 1 against the Warriors. He's been having an unbelievable postseason. And according to the stats, he is the best player remaining. Of everyone left in the NBA playoffs, Luka is averaging the most points per game with 31.5 and the most rebounds per game with 10.1. He's tied with Draymond Green for the most assists, averaging 6.6 per game, and his 1.9 average steals per game rank only behind Jimmy Butler's 2.1. So he is statistically across the board putting up the best numbers, and he is every bit of the superstar we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he's about 35% Bird, about 30% LeBron James, and about 40% Luka, if that all adds up. He's his own guy for sure, but you can really see, when we see players and we go, oh, I've seen a little bit of that before. I definitely see some Bird. I definitely see some LeBron James, the ability to use both hands, break guys down.
Yeah, I don't know if there's an overall comp for the type of player that he is, but you see pieces of the greats in him. This is obviously going to be a big test for him, and this is his first time out of the first round of the playoffs this season. So he's on a spectacular run. Again, I do still have some questions about every team left in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You said it yesterday. None of these teams can survive a major injury. Everyone's actually quite even.
Yeah.
Luka is just playing the best out of the stars, statistically out of the stars left in the playoffs.
Yeah. All these teams have one Hall of Fame player and then somebody else that's probably, like a Drew Holiday, if he played 6 more years, would get votes. Bam Adebayo, if he played 10 more years, would get votes. Warriors have a couple. But I feel like we have 4 great players: Steph, Luka, Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, 4 great players. And then there's other really good parts. We generally have, by the way, I think we have the Boston guy now, too. I think we have 4 really good coaches. Eddie Johnson said it yesterday. Jason Kidd, it may have taken a while. He's become an elite coach.
No, I think this is the year for Jason Kidd to get his flowers.
Yeah.
Like, he's gone through the ranks now. He's had the experience. He's had the failures. He's been the assistant. Like, he's learned the actual job and the role of a head coach in totality. And it's really starting to show this postseason. I think this postseason, along with health, will be a story of the role players more than it ever has before, because all these teams are pretty evenly matched. Even though Luka is having the best statistical season, you can pick apart the stats for Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum and shooting, and we can even it out. Of course, Steph Curry can go for 50 at any point on any night. I think it's going to be the question of what role players step up in the biggest moments and help their stars, because there is no great team that's head and shoulders above everyone else.
None of these teams, I said yesterday, I think health could be a factor.
Yes.
Somebody over the next 2 weeks gets banged up. It's why Milwaukee's probably out. Chris Middleton, that's probably why they're out.
But that's how it goes. There are injuries, and you have to overcome them. Yeah. Everyone deals with them. The Warriors are favored by 5.5 in Game 1, according to Fox Bets.
I like Dallas to cover there.
And minus 227 to win the series.
And what's Boston? Miami's favored by 1.5 tonight, I think, or something like that.
I don't have the spread on that.
I don't know. I like Boston in the series. I
obviously like Miami.
Yeah.
But again, this is it's anyone's pick.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone can really bang on their chest with any sincerity about how any of this is going to play out. So it seemed like a foregone conclusion that the Lakers would try and trade Russell Westbrook this offseason after that disastrous first year with the team. But as the Lakers saga continues, a new report indicates they are still looking at the real possibility of keeping him on their roster next season. According to Sam Amick of The Athletic, the Lakers are asking coaching candidates how they would utilize Westbrook during their interviews.
Come on.
And it's being perceived that maximizing Westbrook next season would be a very important part of the job.
Can you imagine? You want this job. The key to you getting it is telling us how this odd player who's eroding, how do you make him work?
Well, there's not a whole lot of candidates that are stirring the pot when it comes to this job to begin with. There's no one that I've been like, yeah, that's a great replacement over Frank Vogel. Nobody. So, listen, I obviously fired Frank Vogel. They're not moving back off of that. That's done. But if you were going to do that, you would imagine it'd be for someone that was just like, wow, like that is an incredible hire.
Here's what I'd say. How do I get more out of him? Ask him to go to a therapist and have some self-awareness and realize he's a shot fighter and he is a complimentary player off the bench. That's how I would fix Russell Westbrook. Therapy.
Well, $47.1 million if he stays there next season is not a whole lot of juice.
You can't coach self-awareness.
No, I don't think this is a good job. Despite the fact that they may keep Westbrook or not, you have to manage Anthony Davis's health, which has been a conversation for years. LeBron obviously had an unbelievable season, but how much is that is sustainable as well? You don't have any other role players or real moves you can make.
So bad.
What are you really doing here if you're the Lakers? And it's just a lot. So the Suns had championship aspirations, obviously, but their season came to a screeching halt with a blowout loss to the Mavs in Game 7. I don't even know if blowout. It was one of the worst losses I've ever seen in playoff history. Afterwards, the organization released an open letter to fans and thanked them for their support this season. It read in part, "For 3 straight seasons, we have been raising the bar on expectations and accomplishments that wouldn't have been possible without the incredible support from the best fans in the NBA. With greater success and expectation comes deeper disappointment. Just know we all share in it, and our organization won't be satisfied until we bring an NBA championship to the Valley."
Well, I mean, it was a bad loss. Was it release a letter loss? I don't know if it was, but
it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it was a pretty colossal collapse. Chris Paul and Devin Booker obviously are the ones that you're going to point to, as you should. They're the stars, a Hall of Famer, and someone that we've argued for a long time would be in the superstar conversation in Devin Booker. So you can't collapse like that in a Game 7. They had no juice, no energy. They couldn't get anything done. And despite how great Luka has been, Luka's one guy. You're the best team in the league. You should be able to do something defensively with everyone else on the court.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just say, you know what, whatever Luka gets, Luka's going to get.
42 a night, he gets what he gets.
He's going to get what he gets. But nobody else is going to give us problems. If that's the mentality you go in, I don't know that, well, obviously they don't get blown out, but I don't know that they lose this game. But you have to have something from Devin Booker and Chris Paul. What they're going to look like next year, I don't know. Because obviously DeAndre Ayton is a big question mark. What they're going to do with him. His rookie deal expires this season.
And they've gotten a lot out of DeAndre Ayton, and the league's not really built for, I mean, he's not really a vital, you don't want, DeAndre Ayton's issue is, and this is Phoenix's issue as a whole, is that if they trail late, they're not a team that can catch up. They don't shoot threes, so they kind of got to play downhill. Now, in the regular season, what they did, they fooled us a little bit. They fooled me, is that they play their starters. They don't do load management in Phoenix. They play their starters. And in a lot of nights, they had all 5 starters, and they'd be playing against a team with 3 of its starters.
Right.
And so they got leads. They play hard. And in the playoffs, everybody's got their starters, and you don't play with big leads. And what you saw is when they trailed late, DeAndre Ayton becomes really less valuable, less vital. You can't. And then as a coaching staff, you feel the pressure to play him. As you saw, he got frustrated. So DeAndre Ayton becomes, he's a good playing downhill player, but we said this about Giannis like 4 years ago. When you trail with Giannis, you're not a good enough shooter. So he had to play downhill. And then last year, finally, he could play from behind or with a lead. So Ayton's an interesting player. I think they need another shooter.
They need shooters. I don't know that they fooled anyone. I mean, the series did go 7. It collapsed in the last game, but it's not like they got swept or there's some sort of, obviously the goal is to make it to the Western Conference Finals, make it to the finals and win a championship. It's a disappointment, but they were still a great team. But if you're going to be consistent and go on to the next level, you have to do what you're talking about, which is get down and come back. That's why Golden State is able to do that. Not only do they not have the fear because they've won championships, but they also have the shooters to be able to get back in the game just like that when they get behind, and that's not what the Suns have.
Good stuff. Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.